$1.02 billion. That is the jaw-dropping box office total that turned a risky, heavily scrutinized music biopic into the single highest-grossing biographical movie ever made. When Lionsgate released Michael into theaters in April 2026, industry analysts expected solid numbers, but almost nobody anticipated a billion-dollar cultural juggernaut. So when Lionsgate chairman Jaafar Jackson took to the microphone during an official corporate earnings call on August 7, 2026, the question wasn't if a follow-up was happening, but how fast the studio could get Jaafar Jackson back under the spotlight. Jackson officially confirmed that production on the untitled Michael sequel is scheduled to kick off between late 2026 and early 2027, eyeing a global theatrical release target between late 2027 and the first half of 2028. The first film left off at the absolute peak of the king of pop's global dominance, wrapping up after the historic 1987 Bad World Tour with a simple, provocative promise on screen. His story continues. Now, the studio is preparing to deliver on that setup. What makes this announcement particularly fascinating is that Lionsgate won't be starting entirely from square one. During the earnings call, studio executives confirmed that the sequel will incorporate massive, previously filmed musical sequences. Those high-budget scenes were shot during the primary production of the first movie, but were ultimately left on the cutting room floor when the project underwent a reported $50 million reshoot process to address legal hurdles with the Jackson estate. With Jaafar Jackson confirmed to reprise his performance, the studio is preparing to tackle the most complex, acclaimed, and deeply controversial chapter of Michael Jackson's life, spanning the dangerous era and the turbulent 1990s. The public reaction to Lionsgate's confirmation was instantaneous, sending shockwaves across film forums, music subreddits, and commentary feeds. Within hours, video essays and social media threads dissecting the announcement began trending across TikTok and YouTube. The discourse broke into two distinct, passionate camps. On one side, millions of fans celebrated the return of Jaafar Jackson. His uncanny vocal mimicry, precise dance choreography, and physical resemblance to his late uncle were widely recognized as the emotional anchor that powered the first film to historic box office heights. Fan communities immediately began speculating on which legendary music videos and live performances would be recreated next, from the dangerous tour opener to the iconic 1993 Super Bowl halftime show. On the other hand, film critics and industry commentators raised immediate, serious questions about how a second installment will handle the darker history of the 1990s. The first movie faced notable critical pushback for delivering what many reviewers described as a sanitized narrative that intentionally sidestepped the singer's most serious real-world controversies. When news spread that the sequel plans to move into the era defined by the 1993 child abuse allegations, legal settlements, and intense media scrutiny, the online debate intensified. Commentators began questioning whether Hollywood can balance a celebratory, billion-dollar popcorn blockbuster with a nuanced, responsible examination of complex legal history. To understand why the sequel announcement escalated so rapidly in online discussions, you have to look at the unprecedented behind-the-scenes drama that shaped the first film. During initial production, director Antoine Fuqua and screenwriter John Logan had originally included sequences touching upon early legal disputes. However, midway through post-production, attorneys representing the Jackson estate identified specific settlement clauses that restricted how certain individuals could be depicted on screen. That legal obstacle forced the studio into extensive reshoots, costing tens of millions of dollars and delaying the original release date from late 2025 into April 2026. Rather than letting those cutscenes go to waste, Lionsgate realized they were sitting on a goldmine of pre-shot material. By splitting the narrative into a two-part cinematic event, the studio solved two problems at once. They managed to release a crowd-pleasing, monetization-friendly first chapter that focused heavily on Jackson's rise and musical genius, while banking in used, high-production footage that dramatically lowers the upfront cost of producing Part 2. It is a shrewd financial strategy, but it places immense pressure on the upcoming script to deliver genuine narrative honesty rather than just another glossed-over victory lap. This entire situation provides a fascinating look into how modern influencer culture and creator media digest complex legacy figures. When the first Michael trailer debuted, TikTok and Instagram were inundated with side-by-side clip comparisons comparing Jaafar's movements to authentic archival footage. Influencer reaction channels built entire content ecosystems around analyzing his dance training, vocal coaching, and makeup transformation. That digital hype machine acted as a massive word-of-mouth engine, driving younger audiences into theaters to experience concerts that took place long before they were born. However, creator culture also demands accountability. Modern audiences have become far more critical of corporate biopics that function purely as a state-approved public relations campaigns. We saw similar debates surrounding recent films about Elvis Presley and Freddie Mercury, where fans loved the music but critics lamented the removal of real-world friction. With Michael 2, the commentary community is watching closely to see if Lionsgate will allow director Antoine Fuqua the artistic freedom to depict the 1990s with emotional and historical accuracy, or if a state oversight will once again dictate what makes the final edit. For Jaafar Jackson himself, this moment represents a career-defining crossroads. Stepping into the shoes of one of history's most famous figures was already considered a near-impossible task for a debut actor. Doing it twice, while carrying the weight of a billion-dollar franchise, is unprecedented. His performance in the first film successfully insulated him from much of the surrounding controversy, with audiences separating his raw talent as a performer from the studio's narrative choices. But as the sequel dives into far darker thematic territory, his acting range will be tested in ways that extend far beyond executing the moonwalk or landing a high note. It is vital to clearly separate confirmed corporate realities from ongoing online speculation surrounding Michael 2. Factually confirmed, Lionsgate is officially planning a sequel with production targeted for late 2026 or early 2027 and a release window aimed between late 2027 and early 2028. Factually confirmed, Jaafar Jackson will return to star, and the film will incorporate previously shot musical sequences. Factually confirmed, the original film grossed over $1.02 billion worldwide despite reshoots and legal revisions. What remains pure online speculation are claims regarding specific plot points, unverified casting rumors about who will play key legal figures, or internet theories about whether the sequel will receive a higher MPAA age rating due to its subject matter. Lionsgate has explicitly stated that budget details and full script specifics are not yet ready for public announcement as development continues. As Hollywood watches Lionsgate chart this ambitious continuation, this sequel poses a fundamental question for the future of movie biopics. Can a studio successfully transform a deeply controversial, multi-layered life story into a sustained, multi-part blockbuster franchise without losing historical truth along the way? The answer will unfold over the next 2 years, as Jaafar Jackson prepares to step back into the light for cinema's ultimate second act.